very
No,
kind.
that's all right. Yeah, so apologies from Scott that he can't make it. So I'll do my best to go through what he wanted, the message he wanted to put across. So I'll start off by telling you a little bit about Mencap and a little bit about what Mencap's big plan is. As you can see, we've called it our big plan, and the plan revolves around the vision that Mencap want, which is that the UK is the best place in the world for people with a learning disability to live happy and healthy lives. And that's Mencap's key vision for the next 5 years. And Mencap as a charity, we directly support about 5,000 people with a learning disability. And for those that don't know, a learning disability, it's something you're born with. You can't get rid of it. It's not something that can be removed. And there's about 1.5 million people in the UK with a learning disability. So there's quite a spectrum of learning disabilities, from very mild to people who need quite a considerable amount of support. And Mencap provides support for people all across that spectrum. But what Mencap want our job to be is not just supporting those 5,000, but supporting the 1.5 million that are in the UK. And you can see on here how we will work, the way that we want to work in order to reach that vision. And I'll talk a bit about how low code is going to help us do that, or has been helping us do that. That's a lot of information on the slide. I won't go through it all. I'll move on to the next one. So what's the challenge? That's the first bit. Why did we start this digital evolution, as I like the way that Nick put that. And you can see here, one of the main reasons on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see pictures of paper that's in people's homes. That's people's kitchens, people's living room floors. And essentially we were running an office in their homes. And you wouldn't want all that paperwork all over your house. And one of the visions that Mencap has is that it's a home, not a hospital. It's somebody's home. They live there. They're not there to be cared for. It's their home. The right-hand side shows one of our offices, and you can see it's full of archiving boxes, which all that paperwork that we've been recording on for many years is put in there until we can get rid of it as per whatever retention policy we have. And that's a huge amount of data there on all those pieces of paper. Each of those boxes have about 2,000 bits of paper in them. It's ridiculous. And that's data we're not actually able to use because it's on paper. And unless you know exactly what you're looking for, you're not going to be able to find it. Oh, there we go. So what are we doing to solve that? And that plus many other things. And we're launching digital ways of working. So over the last 3 years, our tech strategy has been all about getting people digital. 3 years ago, we had about 1,000 of our 9,000 employees working digitally, which is a very small amount. And most of them were back office staff, talking finance, IT, everyone who keeps Mencap running. But the frontline support, all the support teams that are out there working in the services, they weren't digital at all. So the first step, let's get people digital. We gave everyone a digital identity using Office 365. Their E1 license scheme was a fast and cheap option for us to do that. We had to get rid of all our legacy Windows XP machines, all the Lumia phones we had, Blackberries, loads of them. And we also have to encourage people to use digital as well. So there's Yammer, which for those that aren't familiar with Office 365, Yammer's like an internal social media for your company. And we really encourage people to go on there, and they go on there, they produce feedback, they offer advice, they ask for advice. They also show them cute pictures of their pets, which is awesome. But all these things that we add allows people to use technology, encourages them to do it, and improves their skills at doing it. We produced a learning management system to allow people to self-serve. They can learn what they need to. They can go on there and say, oh, I need help with this. They can go on the learning management system. It's there. They can also request training. And then moving quite essential bits of working is your pay slips, your booking of leave, all the good bits. We moved all that online as well, rather than being on paper forms. So it encourages people, it pushes people into a digital world and gives everyone that digital identity. One of the next things you have to do is look for the right devices. You've got to make sure that when you go to scale, that actually these people who you're pushing to go digital have the devices to do it. And we've got a range of devices out there, from laptops to Chromebooks to phones, all across Mencap, all these different devices, and they all connect together, allowing people to use this digital way of working. And as you can see up here, Mendix, we invested into the Mendix platform. One of the main reasons we did that is because we need apps that are adaptable. Digital is an ever-changing environment. There's always something new that needs to be built. There's always something new somebody wants. Any bit of feedback that comes through, we can then build on it. And one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that it's one port of call as well. So we've got all these different systems that you can't expect the everyday user to go, oh, I know it's that system, that system, that system. So you put it all in one place, and that's what My Mencap is, which is our new intranet. So the first thing they do when they go on a laptop is open your web browser, and it goes straight to My Mencap, and they get the list of all the stuff that they need to do their job. Right. So how did we take all these technologies, Mendix, the low-code platform, Office 365, online payslips, everything? How did we bring them and make them scale for large change? And this is the timeline that we have here. So it says 2018. It's about June 2018 this all started. And that's only about a month or so after we first worked with Mendix and built our first app with them. So we completed a technical pilot in Brighton and Hove, and I know there's some Brighton and Hove council people on the call, but that was where our first pilot was, and we had about 40 staff tested on there. And at the time, the app only covered about 15% of all the admin stuff, but that already had a huge impact. Building a low-code app in only 4 weeks it took us to build it, allowed this service to bring support plans online, show them to any regulator. There was so much paperwork that they now had quick access to. It very quickly changed the way they work. Once we kind of confirmed that it's going to work, this technical solution, it's sound, we can then start looking at, right, how do we deploy it on a larger scale? So we went to, rather than just one service, which was in Brighton and Hove, we went to one patch, and a patch for us is about 10 to 15 services. And so we looked at, right, let's train the teams. Let's go in, have training sessions with us. We'll talk them through. We'll spend a week in the service and train them. And that worked as well. They picked it up, they got there, they asked for support when they needed it. And you could really start seeing this model coming together. We then continued where we tried a different model. Rather than us training the teams, we trained the managers, and the managers trained the teams, delivering to a further 2 patches. And you can see that our numbers starting to go up. And at that time, What Matters Most had 30% of the capability. And we built 2 new apps as well. So one's called POS, which stands for Personal Outcome Scale. And what that is, it's in essence, it's a questionnaire that you complete via an interview with someone. And it's a way of measuring quality of life. And one of the key things that Mencap wants to do is improve quality of life. So this sort of interview highlights where in somebody's life their quality of life could be improved. If they want it to be, they might not want it to be. And then we can say, right, well, across the board, this particular area, everyone could improve. So let's focus on that. Let's put some resource into that and make quality of life better for as many people as possible. And then PBS, which is positive behavior support. It's a way of monitoring someone who has challenging behavior. You can then track sort of what triggers this challenging behavior, and you can say, well, let's see what we can do to stop that, and thus improving their quality of life. And the PBS app, we got some really good help through the Mendix on tour in London 2 years ago, when we were the subject of the hackathon, which we gave the challenge to build this positive behavior support app, and I think 6 or 8 teams took part, and First Consulting won, and we use their model now, the code that they built, we use that in the app, and it's working really well. So 2020, we started to scale for large deployment. Obviously, COVID hit. So that did slow us down quite a bit, as you can imagine. In a healthcare care home setting, COVID did hit pretty hard. So the amount of new things that a service could do but became limited because all their brain power was being taken up by COVID. Yeah. But we started to scale that deployment. So tested the new a self-service model. So the idea was that we get the teams ready, we give them the detail, we give them the information they need, and they learn it through the self-service, through our learning management systems, and colleagues trained themselves, and this has worked really well. And there is still support there when they need it. So if a colleague needs help, for example, straight from the start, they don't know how to use a computer, we can help with that. Or if there's someone who's a tech whiz, they just go on and do it. It's great. And one of the key things is to make apps intuitive. So if you think, for those that use it, Facebook or LinkedIn on your phone, you don't need a user guide on how to use it. You already know. You know that if you click this button, it brings your notifications up. If you know you click this button, you can view someone's profile picture. It works. And that's the key thing for us, is make it intuitive. So the user knows what they need to do. And by this time, we'd continued building, and we'd increased to 60% of our admin processes. That PS, that stands for personal support. That's what all our services are in Mencap. And we launched a new PMR, which stands for personal money record, which it's a finance module that's used when someone we support needs help with their money. And that's been really, really effective. So what it also shows is looking at, we've got POS, we've got PBS, we've got the PMR. I do like acronyms. And what matters most as a whole, which the app monitors, it allows people to record healthcare, medication, when they've been to the doctor, when they've had food, if that needs to be monitored. It shows the flexibility of this platform and how large the ranges of stuff we can actually build on it. So moving into our current year, we're continuing the deployment. We're doing 6 staggered phases, so we're in full 100% power now. We are going for it, and so far we've got 3,600 colleagues live and 3,700 more that are currently going through the deployment. So everyone has started their journey, and they're all at different stages. And by the end of this year, we'll have 100% of our admin processes on the app, which includes our instant reporting forms, and also medication, because that's quite a huge thing, medication. I think there's the number I was given, there's like 20 million actions done with medication a year. So to move all that onto the app, where you've got to make sure you've got the redundancy, because if it goes offline, you don't know what medication to give someone, there's a risk there. So it's making sure all those ports of call are covered. Yeah, so that's the journey. And then going into a bit more detail, I won't spend too long on this slide, but what was required by the services to get through the digital ways of working. So as I said, we need to onboard them, make sure that they've got access to digital training, start building this change network that gets them ready for this change. Because for some people, change like this is quite intimidating, especially when it comes to technology. So we make sure they're engaged. We make sure they understand what's coming. And another thing is cleaning the data, because when you're bringing in a new system like the app, you've got to make sure that the data is clean, because if you bring on bad data, you're going to have a bad time. So we've got to clean the data. We've got to give them kit and connections. They need devices to actually access this stuff. They need internet connection. Some of the services we've got, there's no internet connection. There's no phone signal. There's no nothing. You took a phone out there, you'd be like, well, I can't use this. There's no internet. So looking at the offline working side of things is where we're heading in the future. And then you move on to the next bit, which is setting up that they're ready. They've said, right, we've done the training, we've done this. Set up the SharePoint site, which is where they store all their files. Set up the What Matters Most app, which is the one we've built on Mendix. My cat is meowing at me. Down you go. Converting all their current documents and helping them along this process. But all the way along this process, they are learning. They know how to use the app. They know how to access things. And by the time we get to stage 3, people have upskilled, they know how to use the app, and they're able to start start and just go for it, and it really works. And the data we're already getting from the app, which I can touch on more in a minute, is incredible. So once they've gone through all that, they move on to the BAU side of things. They still have support through our IT service desk. They can still access all the training if they want to. It's not a one-time thing. You can go back, you can look at all the interactive training we put together. So yeah, the key for us is supporting them all the way through the process. Slide. So obviously this call is about low code, so I'll definitely have to talk about that. How has low code supported us in this change? And there's a few questions that we can answer here. So have we fully utilized the low code platform? No, we haven't. And that's fine. If we did fully utilize it, then we'd run out of things to build. No. We know there's loads more we can do. We're looking at the offline capability. And that's the great thing about the Mendix platform, is that there's so much potential. Has the platform allowed us to make changes quickly? Yeah, definitely. We get feedback. In our backlog, we've got about 85 things at the moment. That's not because we're slow, it's just because there's so much feedback coming through. But what we're able to do is say, right, here's a feedback from a user. Let's look at it. That sounds a really good idea. Make sure it works. Build it, test it, deploy it, and it's out. And we can do that very quickly. We can get changes out within a week if we want to. And that's because the low-code platform makes it quick to build, quick to iterate, and get it out there. Is it the final version? No. And that question for me will never be a yes, because you'll always have place to improve. There's always some form of continuous improvement going on, making sure that it's the best it can be and taking feedback from the users. But has the platform allowed us to build something we can use? Yes, no doubt. We're able to take requirements from the business, turn them into an app relatively quickly. Having access to something that allows you to change it quickly helps us massively. We don't have a delay in getting that technical solution sorted. And do we have the skills and capability to adapt to what we need? Yes. So myself and the other two developers in the team, we don't come from a coding background. I have an IT background. I've done a very small amount of web development. The other two guys in the team, similar, but we don't have a coding background. I couldn't give you half a sentence on what Java is, but we can build apps quickly. And will we exploit more capability? Yes. We're looking at native, we're looking at cognitive services, AI. There's so much potential we can utilize in the Mendix platform. It's absolutely incredible. And as it says here, what the low-code platform is for us, it's a catalyst for change. We've got all this capability. We know that when someone comes to us and say, oh, we need to do this, what can we do? We know, well, we can build an app for that. Yeah. And all of this stuff that I've talked about, it's not just for this Better, Faster Digital project. What it's doing is actually creating a bedrock, a foundation for change, for all this future transformation or evolution. I keep saying evolution because I like that. I want to use it. What we have now is quicker access to our information. We've removed paper from people's homes. At full capacity, the What Matters Most app will be 300,000 new data points a week. And we've got improved insight into that data. We can look into it and say, you know, why are so many people having this problem? What can we do to help? What can we do to improve quality of life? We can really spend time analyzing that data. Our colleagues, they're more connected than ever before. It's very easy in a large organization such as Mencap to feel isolated, especially when you don't have digital connections, because there's no way you're going to meet all 9,000 people in the organization. So having things like the Yammer platform, having this continual feedback that we get, it keeps users connected. It knows that they're listened to. And as the slide says, our approach is flexible. It changes. And all these changes can be made quickly. And the more changes we make, the more feedback we get. The more we listen to that feedback, the more the users know they can be listened to, and they provide more feedback. And it's that constant cycle, which I love. I think it's brilliant. And one of the things that we made sure to do was actually do a bit of a digital capability analysis at the start and at the end of the deployment to say, you know, where are you? How are you with this? And at the start, a lot of people were nervous. They didn't like the idea of using technology, but towards the end, we got some incredible feedback. And I won't read through them all, but you can see them on screen. And this is just some of the things that people said in that analysis. It's key to constantly listen to what they're saying, taking their feedback, good and bad, to improve the tools. So what's next? How can low code help us going forward? As we move towards more team freedom, self-empowered teams, the low code allows us to give them the tools they need to be able to make those decisions and changes that they want to make, that they feel is best for their service. And with the right tools, we can support that change at speed. We can test and learn. We can get people involved into the agile mindset that works incredibly well with low code. It allows them to be the drivers of change. We are merely the people providing the bedrock for them to do that. And community power, leveraging the community, encouraging citizen developers to get involved. We provide the problem, they can come up with a solution. And the low code platform really allows us to do that. There is one more slide, which is the video, but I won't share that now. I can share that afterwards. So it's a video of the app, so you can see it in use. But yeah, that is it. If anyone's got any questions, please ask.
Let me see. I am unmuted. Yeah, that was brilliant, Garion. Incredible. Yeah, really insightful and interesting. I am going to open it up for questions. I've got a couple of questions myself. First of all, with regards to talking about sort of the team freedom and enabling, teams, because obviously you've got, from speaking to Scott before, I have spoken to him previously. So you've obviously got sort of Mencap offices and teams scattered all over the country. Now, is there a plan to sort of almost create like a citizen developer type community where you sort of enable other office areas to be able to create their own apps, or are you in danger then of sort of, I guess, it's not ghost IT, but you're not having an overall control of the quality of the app? Because I know with there's some local authorities using low code where they have it's done from a corporate perspective, and they do enable certain teams, certain service areas to be able to build their own apps, but they have to be checked so that they there's it fits in that way.
Cat's come to say hello. Come on, down you go.
I'm a Bond villain all of a sudden.
Oh, she's caught on my cable now. There you go. Down you go.
Yeah.
She wants to have the remains of my lunch.
Yeah. All right. So do you know what I mean? How do you control that? I mean, I guess there has to be a certain level of trust.
Yeah, I'd say
because that's where the opportunities come in, doesn't it? Providing service people actually go out and do the caring, people at the front line to come up with ideas and be able to create apps on the fly that meet a certain requirement. How do you control that?
It's still quite early stages for us in that aspect of it. It's something that we want to look into and make sure we get right. And I think one of the things, as you said, you've got to be careful is if you give the people the option to make all these, they might make things that don't actually meet the requirements of quality, of information security. And I know that our InfoSec guy would be right knocking at my door if we allowed people just to create apps. But what I think the way to control it is actually give people the freedom to do it, but then keep it through our quality control process. If they have this great idea, bring it into the app, bring it into our app. We can say, look, this person, this service created this wonderful thing. Let's add it to our app. Don't keep it independent.
Yeah,
it's taking all their ideas and making the whole thing better. That would be my way of controlling it.
Excellent. Brian, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, there was some really a great presentation, Karen, I must admit. Two things that popped out: the feedback loop. Do your end users actually use the platform to actually feedback, or how do you correlate that feedback?
Yeah, we originally used the Mendix feedback button, which I really love. But what we had to do in the end with IT, because we have our own, we use a thing called Top Desk, which is our own ticketing system.
Yep.
And IT wanted to make sure we funnel all the requests through there. So what we've done is change that feedback button and just change it to link towards our feedback form. And users are constantly giving us feedback. I did look at the numbers, how many we got, but I can't remember now. But so that's how we do it. They put it through Top Desk, we action it, we say yes, no, we review it, and then get it out there. That's our feedback loop. It's as quick as it possibly can for us.
Absolutely, that's brilliant. I thought there might be the case. I mean, a lot of our customers do actually just use inherent feedback within the platform, and it's a great facility. The other thing was, you talk about like 300,000 data points collected. Yeah, that's just off the scale. So how do you actually, how are you dealing with that data? So you're collecting all the apps and the content, the data that's passing in. Are you actually pushing it into a warehouse? Are you pointing BI tool? How are you doing that?
So one of the other projects we've got at the moment in Mencap is called Aspire, and this is our management information dashboard. That's based on Power BI. So we'll be linking in with that. So we've got our data team, quite a new team for Mencap, where we're going to funnel all the data to them through REST API. We're going to build it on them, know what the users want in their reports, and build it then on Power BI and link it with the Aspire dashboard as well.
Gotcha. Excellent. Brilliant. Thanks, Garion.
Anyone else got any questions at all? How many? What I was going to ask, Garion, is, so at the moment, how many people are capable and able to design, create apps within Mencap?
There's about 4 or 5 of us. There's 3 within the development team. There's 6. There's 3 more that have gone through the training to be a rapid developer. At the moment, the idea is to expand that and bring on, hopefully, I mean, it's not decide whether we're going to do it or not, but bring on the citizen developers and give people the opportunity to build the apps.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I don't have any further questions, but we're able to share that presentation, aren't we, post?
Yeah, I'll double check with Scott.
Yeah.
I think we should be able to, and I can share it on.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to give you not only a round of applause using my emoji, because I'm down with the youth, but also a round of applause. Thank you very much for stepping in. You know, Garion stepped in at well, about 10 o'clock this morning. It's almost like you've written that presentation. You didn't write it, did you, on behalf of Scott? Because you seem
No, he wrote the presentation. I can't. Okay. I'm terrible with making things look nice, and he's done a great job of making that look nice.
I think you make a good double act. You know, presentations you can deliver in the future. We should feedback on that one. Yeah, thanks very much indeed. It was excellent.